Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be doing a full review on the CMSB Custom MICROM. Welcome back to another review, and it is another IWATA. This is the last one on the IWATA range that I'm going to do, and it is the CMSB. It's the custom MICROM, guys. This is the 0.18 version. It's the V2 version, I think, on this. I've owned this brush now for probably 4 to 5 years, and I've done mainly portrait work with this and fine detail stuff when I need to get some detail down. It's the MICROM that I go to, but now I've just brought the Krios, the PS771. I'm tending to steer more to that, and this gets left on the shelf at the minute. I will pick this back up, so I'm looking forward to giving this another little spray test and getting back onto the MICROM, and I'll show you what this can do. So I'll give you a little run through of the brush. This is a double action brush again, so you've got down for air, back for paint. On these you've got a nice wide trigger and they slope down to the front, so when you're using this it's really comfortable on your finger. It's a lovely soft sensitive trigger on these guys. On the backs you've got your adjuster there, so you can dial your trigger in for your paint flow. When you take the cap off the front of these airbrushes, you've got a little bit at the back where you can screw the cap onto the back, so that's a really cool little feature, guys. So you don't lose your cap, you can just drop that on the back of the brush and that can stay there while you're painting. You've got quite a bit of needle exposure on the front of these, which I like, so in between the two brushes you can clean them up nice and well. This is a side cup airbrush again, so you can take the pin out and put the cup either side, your preference. The weight of these are nicely balanced. Lovely chrome finish on them on the fronts, and then it's like it looks like an anodized type chrome piece on the back. Nice and smooth, as I said, nice and comfortable in your hand. When you get these brushes, I'll just stick that cap back on the front, they will turn up in a red box. As I said in the previous video, you could probably throw this out of an aeroplane and it would still hit the floor and last. So yeah, you get it in a fancy red box. On these you get your super lube, you get a little air filter which screws to the bottom. They're really good. You can get, that is the IWATA one, you can get the imitation ones of these. I've had them as well and they work just as well. So that's the box you get it in. I'm going to do a little test on this box, because me personally, I know you're paying £365 for the brush, but how much are you paying for this? So we're going to do a little test on this and see how indestructible this box is. I've got 5 litres of thinners, so we're going to douse the box in thinners, and then we're going to do a little test and see how indestructible this box is. As you can see, guys, it survived the thinners test. So yeah, outstanding box for the outstanding brush. Right guys, I've just put the extractor on, get rid of a bit of that smoke. We're going to do another test on that box later on in the video. So it survived the thinners one. The next one I don't think it's going to survive, but we'll see that later on. So we're going to move on now, and we're going to do some tests with the custom MICROM. I've dropped a bit of shading grey transparent in this. We're running the same, about 22 psi. So what we'll do is we'll move on now, and I'll just do some test dots, go from small all the way up to big. We'll do some lines again, fine lines. I'll show you some passes on how much paint it can get down, and then we'll do the little shading tests again in the 2 circles. So I'll see you in a minute. Right guys, so we're going to move on and do these little dots. I'll stick the bins back on because I can't see a thing without these. So we're going to do some little and I could probably drop the pressure down on this, but they're tiny little dots, and then working your way up. So that's the little dot test. You can get right down with this. I think my air in the tank's just run down a bit low because that's dropping pressure now. So if you just bear with me a second and I'll stick the compressor. Right, I've fired the compressor up, guys. You probably hear that very slightly in the background. So we'll do some lines with the MICROM. This paint is a bit old on this. It's the bottom of the bottle, but super fine again. It's a little bit grainy, this paint. That's a bit better. So yeah, you can get down really super fine with it, and it atomises lovely, this brush. It really does. You can get some real soft shades with this, and it will get your paint down. Even though it's a 0.18, you can get the paint coverage down with it to an extent. But the trigger feels so responsive on the MICROM, and it's nice and soft as well. No dramas with airbrushing for 4 or 5 hours with this in your hand. You just don't even realise you've got an airbrush in your hand when you pick this up. So it's really nice to work with. I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to do another palm tree. We'll move on to the shading, and we'll go in. And yeah, lovely and soft. The trigger is so comfortable on the MICROM. It really is. It puts the paint down really nice, precise. And I find these are quite a quiet brush. Some of the brushes, when you put the air through them, they just sound like they're roaring sound with the air. These are quite quiet as well. Even though you could put this PSI on another brush, it just sounds really loud. This is really quiet, I find. But atomises the transparent easy, as it should do. Most brushes will do this the same, but it just puts it down that little bit nicer, the MICROM does. I mean, that previous one we've just done, which was the HP SB Plus, that feels like this. I'd say the trigger's a little bit softer on this, but for dots, lines, shading, that will match it, and that one's cheaper. So if you're looking for a brush to get this style of detail down, the HP SB Plus will do it as good as this. We'll move on to the little circle now, and yeah, effortless with the MICROM. Lovely brush. I just find it really comfortable. It's nice and soft. It's the trigger for me on this, and the angle of that trigger is really nice. Comfortable, flat, quite wide, and it's got that grippy top. so when you use it, it's just really comfy. Needles are really good in these as well. I've dinked this needle into the board before and it's not bent it, it's been absolutely fine. So another bit of shading. And you can really feather on your shading, you can really feather it out of this because that trigger's so responsive. You can get real soft fades with a Micron. So that's them. We'll do a little bit of coverage so you can see fall back on coverage. This paint is thin, but you can get the paint down. We'll drop a bit of opaque in, and I'm going to drop 2 drops of water, back mix it, pinch the front, bubble it up, and we'll do some dots again. Oh, that's spat then. That's just to build up this old paint. So yeah, you can go right down, little splatters there, that was just to build upon the needle that splattered out. But you can go right down and build that up and you're getting a nice atomisation on it. Lines again. Yeah, nice. You can get lovely tiny little dagger strokes with this because that trigger's really sensitive and nice. You can flick it really, really well. Just a great brush, guys. I think the price tag for these is a little bit pricey when you're considering the Creos PS771. It will match this. It really will. It'll match it, and it's cheaper and the parts are cheaper. So it depends which way you want to go. I mean, there's a big sort of like cult following with the Micron. All your sort of top artists have got them, and they are an outstanding brush, but I just think the price tag for them is a little bit pricey. Like I say, when you can get the Creos 771 and it will match it. And I like the Creos because it's a little bit longer. You got your little Mac valve on the front. Just a great brush. So I've been picking that up quite a bit, as I said, and this has been sat on the shelf, but it's really nice to get this back in my hand and have a play with it. It's it just comes straight back to you on how good this thing is. Shade's really nice. And you know when you pick it up, you took some paint in it, it's going to work, and you've got no dramas of, because sometimes you can go in on a piece of artwork, say you're doing a portrait, something like that, you can go in with like another brush, say a cheaper brush, you'll go in and do, and it'll spit paint out. These, you can just change your colours quickly, you go straight in and you know that brush is going to perform, and you're just going to get the job done with it. As I say, IWATA know what they're doing when it comes to airbrushes and their spray guns as well. I'll have to do some reviews on the spray guns I've got, because their spray guns are second to none. They're excellent spray guns, and I've got quite a few IWATA spray guns, bigger spray guns. But yeah, once you get one in your hand, you don't want to put it down. You really don't. You just want to keep doodling, having a play. You get some real nice soft shades with it. It works. Great brush. I'm glad I got one in the end, because my go-to detail brush for a start was the Steenbeck Infinity. And yeah, I was doing portraits and things when I started my portraits. I was using that. Great brush. I mean, it'll do what these other brushes will do. But after feeling the trigger response on this wipes the floor with it. The Steenbeck Infinity for trigger response and a more comfortable trigger. I find the Steenbeck trigger, the little circle or half round one, not as comfortable as this. This is so comfortable because it's nice and flat and wide. Your whole finger sits on that, and it's got that little tilt down at the front, so it's just more comfortable. And I think that's what it's about with an airbrush. You've got to have a comfortable brush, because as we all know, airbrushing isn't a 10-minute job to do something. You are painting for hours on end, and you have got to have something comfortable in your hand if you're painting for that amount of time. And these brushes are, yeah. The person who designed it obviously can paint and has put this brush in his hand and sat there with it for 10 hours in his hand, because it's been designed absolutely spot on. It really has. So that's the test on the MICROM, guys. I'm going to do another test on this box in a minute. I'm going to get a 6-pound sledgehammer head, and we're going to drop it from 3 feet high onto the box and see what it does. So yeah, that's the next test that's coming up. But that's the test panel. I'll do a little bit of coverage for you. So it will drop the paint down. I wouldn't advise it for dropping, like if you're doing a big, say that was your whole background and you go and drop it down, I'd just jump straight on and grab the PS2 lighter, bang, smash that background down, and then you're good to go. If you wanted a black background, that would blow that in, and then you can go in off the black background or whatever. But for getting a bit of paint down, they're good. They'll do it, as you can see there. Few passes and you'll get your coverage. I mean, that's probably 8 to 9 passes to do that. That Griot, you just go bang, that would be like 1, 2 and a bit, and that would be boom, full, dead easy on that. So yeah, it's good to have a selection of brushes like I've got, and I think the selection that I've got have been picked out correctly on the ones I've got, and they've lasted. So if you're going off my reviews, I've had these brushes a long time and they're all working still now. They're not tarnished in any way. I've not changed anything on any of them. So yeah, I've got a good selection of brushes that have all got their little place when I paint. And it's just nice to have a selection. If you're going to do a portrait, you haven't got to always pick that up. I've not always got to pick the Microns to do a portrait. I can jump onto the Eclipse. I can jump onto the Steenbeck Evolution. It makes no odds to me, because I'm so used to these brushes and the detail I can get down with them. So I've not always got to use the Micron. I always used to think, oh, I've got to get a Micron because I need to do detail. I want to do detail. Everyone goes on about, I need a brush to get detail down. What's the best brush? PS270 will get your detail down. As good as that. It all goes on how much money you want to spend, and if you're a beginner, don't jump to one of these thinking that you've got to have a Micron. This is going to get you the detail. It's not. It's the person behind the brush that's going to get you the detail, and it's how much practice you have got with your finger control and your trigger control, because all these brushes will match the detail of this. It's the person behind the brush on how good he is setting his pressures, mixing his paints, and how good trigger control you've got. But that all comes in time, guys. You can't just jump on to airbrushing and go, oh, I'm going to paint a portrait. It don't happen that way. It takes a lot of time, a lot of practice, years, hours. It's like everything. You've got to put the time in and then get your brushes along the way. That's what I've done. I've just got the brushes along the way, made do with the ones I've had, and then just upgrade as you do. But yeah, I can't knock it at all. Superb brush, another IWATA that is a superb brush. I think they've discontinued these, or they're going to, and they're bringing this new range out with the new, apparently it's more responsive, but how much more responsive do you want? I mean, like I say, it's the person behind the trigger, not the airbrush. If you can't get your finger control right, you ain't going to get them details down. So I'm not going to go for any new brushes, I don't think. I think I've got, the selection that I've got will do me now till I'm in a box under the ground and then someone else can have them. But the ones I've got, they work. I've got a nice selection. I'm so glad I moved on to the Krios range. If you've not moved on to them, check them out, guys. They're well worth a look. Really recommend the PS290 if you want to get some coverage down. Superb brush. PS270, brilliant brush for coverage and detail, really good. The PS771 will match the Micron, and you're not going to break the bank. IWATAs, again, superb brushes. Going from the Eclipse, which I've used in that previous video a couple of times, love it. Softer spring, make it even better. The HP SB Plus will match this. Brilliant brush again, 0.2, and then you've got the Micron, the 0.18. So that's my thoughts on the brush, guys. I'm going to move on now, and we're going to do another test on this box. I'm determined to destroy this box by the end of the day, because I think it's a lot. £360 for a brush is a lot of money. These were a bit more at one point, and I think you're paying a lot for the box. So if we can destroy this box in this video, make my day. So I'll see you in the test 2. Right, guys, I'm going to go for test 2 on the box. We've got the box on the floor down there. I can't find the £6 sledgehammer head, but what I've got is I've got a piece of, this is about an 8 kilo granite block. So I'm going to drop this from about 3 feet high onto the box, and then I'll give you a pan round and we'll see what damage it's done to the box. So we've got the granite block. I'm going to step quite away from this, and we're just going to drop the granite block onto the box. Right, guys, as you can see, the granite block and the custom Micron box, there's a teeny mark on the top, but it survived test 2, guys. So outstanding box, round of applause for the custom Micron box. It survived the granite block test. So that's the end of the video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. Don't forget, guys, if you're new to my channel, click that subscribe, press that notification so you can see more up and coming videos on Dred Custom Paint. The next review is going to be the IWATA compressor. I'll give you a little rundown on that. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.